Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be checking out something super Eyepatch Wolf did on the Game Grumps channel. This book isn't what you think it is. I don't know what this book thinks it is to start with, so I'm not sure what I should think it is either. What I do know is my wife is a massive fan of the Game Grumps, and I am contractually obligated to say Donnie and Aaron are funny. They are good at what they do, and you should laugh here. Parentheses, make it sound believable. Ha ha, ha ha, ha. P.S. If you fuck this up, I will know. I'm probably in the clear. More importantly, though, I'm actually really curious what they were doing to collaborate because, one, I'm pretty sure they're in different continents. Two, the only thing I know about them both together is that Aaron Hansen could probably beat my ass because I saw him getting ready for chess boxing and that was terrifying. And two, I have seen the musculature when Super Eyepatch was on video. Both of these guys can crack me like a walnut. Admittedly, also like a loose stick of butter, but let's be honest, I like the comparison to the first one better. It makes me sound a little less wimpy. More importantly, I'm going to stop incriminating myself and hope this was enough for my wife not to divorce me. So let's hope this worked out well, other than becoming a Doug meme. That's tomorrow. You guys know, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. Let's find out what we're looking at.
Hello, this is a video advertisement for the book
Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club and the Express Train to Nowhere, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. Why does that sound familiar?
Ghost Hunter Adventurers Club,
Oh, he's going to
Express Train to Nowhere.
That looks like a Hardy Boys
by
XP.
John. That's me, Super Eyepatch.
Wait, did he actually
One of
narrate
my
a book?
favorite parts about being a YouTuber are the frequent feelings of validation I get from my work. And by frequent, I mean never ending. And by validation, I mean existential crises. That's
I've heard him talk about this before in the YouTube sections and a lot of other videos. Yeah, the comments section. Talking about existential crises and having the comments play right behind them. That is... Oh, yeah, that just is not even a... That's not on the nose. It's just a blatant statement of fact.
That's the kind of joy one can expect from churning out an endless stream of content for a giant amorphous audience that may or may not devour you at any point.
That's just insane. There is no such thing as may not. They will continually try. It's just your job to try and run faster.
All the while knowing that if you stop, your primary means of maintaining both food and electricity will disappear.
Yep.
And
That's
I
it.
was while ruminating on this fact that something strange happened to me.
What?
An uncanny man in a Mark Twain costume approached me as I walked to my car in a parking lot and handed me a copy of the book.
Do you want me to take the book?
The Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club.
I'm sorry, everything about this entire shot. It's just... I'm sorry, just the way he's walking, it's like, hello, random stranger. I am walking with my arms perfectly straight and not making eye contact. The last part I can completely get because it's creepy in the middle of nowhere where there's no one else around. But dear God, they're having fun with this.
To my car in a parking lot and handed me a copy of the book.
It's an actual physical book, though.
Do you want me to take the book?
The Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club, Express Train to Nowhere, promising that if I read out a simple script and was part of a simple video, I would be compensated monetarily.
And if the next line isn't, and they will release my family, I will be a little surprised.
Which is to say, this is an advertisement. I am being
Wait, this is an actual
to
book?
talk about this book.
Oh! Is it a joke advertisement and it's just part of a script, or is it an actual advertisement and they actually paid him? I don't know which one would be more funny. If they actually hired another YouTuber whose bread and butter is wrestling videos and everything else is depressing, why are you watching this? Especially considering the Game Grump audience, that is even weirder in hindsight. I guess they're going with the weird factor. And admittedly, it got me to check this out entirely. Also, I do realize if this is a real ad for a real book, I really hope my wife doesn't see this because she's going to know what her birthday present is.
These opinions are not mine. Somebody else wrote this script for me, and I...
Narrators, oh man, oh, it is interesting how this book broke me. Oh my God. Is a Vingner cipher? What? You'll get, thanks for pausing. That's the only hint you get. Thanks for pausing. Wait, there's actually jokes in all of this? Oh, no. No, Airier, regret, no. repress the urge to pause and examine everything on screen. I must. I know I go crazy if I do that.
Or money. I do not even own a car. They
Not
can
his car.
literally make me say anything. I am a flim-flam man, a snake oil salesman. And that might sound morally dubious.
I mean, it's not even the dumbest thing I've heard on YouTube. The fact that if this is actually a paid ad, I am going to laugh my ass off so hard.
And it is. But it leads to several interesting questions that I will
Why have
cover
more people not
in
hired
this
him to do
little
actual
video
ads?
I am told is called The Book That Broke Me.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I love how he's just delivering the lines in such a way that it makes it even funnier that I'm doing a suspected ad read right in front of you. And there's just Benjamins falling down. I love this. I absolutely love this. I don't care if it's an actual ad for the book or if this is just a bit they're doing. I do not care. Also, if it is an actual ad, they didn't add anything to identify it as sponsored. But it's on their channel, so would it actually count as sponsored if they're the ones hosting it? Or would it have to be marked if it was on Super Eyepatch Wolf's channel? I don't actually know. I have to look that up.
In this little video, I am told is called The Book That Broke Me.
Oh my god.
And also why I'm not a terrible person for doing this. Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club.
I'm sorry, just this part right here. The entire, why I'm not a terrible person for doing this. I just love this framing right here.
Not a terrible
This.
person
Looking at the
for
camera.
doing this.
And looks off to the left. Kind of just gives it a couple seconds, just one or two, to get home that, yeah, no, he feels like he's a heel. I'm taking money. It's fine. My soul isn't bought and purchased. I haven't corrupted myself inevitably to the corrupting influence of capitalism for all those sweet, sweet Benjamins that they definitely sent and are somewhat real.
Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club in the Express Train to Nowhere, written by Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, author and uncle to Aaron Hansen from the...
That's where I know him. I don't follow Game Grumps enough to know the recurring character, which apparently I've been told he is, but I saw that character back in Markiplier in Space. There was an entire segment where you just were talking to him and it just got weirder and weirder. Oh, I knew I saw him somewhere before. I know that there's a bunch of people going, Airier, that's not where the character's from. And yes, I know you're right. I've been told by a lot of people who know a lot more than me, which is most of them, that he's a recurring character from the Game Grumps in a lot of videos and a bit. But I had no idea what his name was. But I do get that they brought him in, and it would actually be funny if that wasn't Aaron in a mask or in makeup and it was an actual uncle of his, because that would make it even funnier to me.
Cecil H.H. Mills, author and uncle to Aaron Hansen from the middling YouTube channel Game Grumps, is a
Middling.
adult mystery novel that asks a basic question.
Also, is that supposed to be the Hardy Boys? Because I'm pretty sure it's like as much of a direct rip for the Hardy Boys as possible. I have no idea whatever happened to that series. It just kind of kept going after I stopped being a kid and I stopped paying attention. Huh.
Can genuine art be designed for monetary gain? The book...
Yes. There is an entire industry about it. Andy Warhol perfected it. It was literally industry art. He was trying to pump things out in an industrial fashion. That's literally his entire art style. You are describing, in a very few words, exactly what Andy Warhol did. How do I make the most money for the least amount of effort? It's why he went to screen printing. That is the entire point of it. I know it's completely tangential here, but that's literally his thing. Art for money.
The book begins when our protagonists, the brothers JJ and Valentine's Watts, who may or may not actually be brothers, as well as their friend Trudy De La Rosa, board an express train. And a lot of the appeal of this book is just getting to hang out with these little weirdos. Trudy is sharp, calculating, and very occasionally prone to making threats of brutal violence.
What?
JJ is the kind of affable idiot whose simple, borderline oblivious worldview makes him extremely entertaining, but also sometimes able to perceive situations in a way that no one else can. And Valentine is kind of the opposite.
Why does he have an ominous shadow? It's probably Trudy.
Softly spoken, empathetic, with a keen eye for observation. His only weakness being the sheer terror he feels whenever he's around the Ghost Hunter Adventurers Club charming yet horrifying nemesis Siobhan, a tenacious, bright-eyed young girl equally adept in the arts of song and dance as well as knife murder. Only
Okay, that escalated. So it's their nemesis, a bright-eyed girl who's good at singing and murder. What the hell? If this isn't a real book at this point, I would be actually disappointed. Nope, scratch that. Not even be. I would be actively disappointed. Not actually, actively. In other words, there's that little bit of disappointment in the background. This is all a bit. But I'm going to ignore it. Hope it actually is an ad.
for some royal jewels to go missing, the blame pinned on our young heroes, and chaos ensues.
Minus the knife murderer.
So young adult mystery novel, right? Well, yes, but here's where things start to get a little odd. See, one of the people aboard the train is Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, whom you may remember.
The writer is also on the
one
train?
paragraph ago when I said, written by Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. See, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills is not only the author of this book, but also a character in it. One who is actively writing the story as it happens, and not only does he interact with the fictional characters of this world, but also you, the reader.
Kid, I firmly believe with my whole heart that each and every person on Earth, no matter how young or old, should have a plan that will one day lead to them owning and piloting their own yacht.
What? This is such an absurd sentence. I kind of want this. Unironically want this. Oh my god. Source, Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the express train to nowhere. My wife is going to give me so much trouble for this because she's definitely going to know all the references going on right now, and I got nothing. I kind of like the setup, though, and I'm just wondering, so when he says he's taking part and writing it at the same time, does that mean he's writing his experiences as they happen, or are we in a stranger than fiction situation where, I was going to say Will Smith, no, Will Ferrell is going to walk out and just start talking to some random voice he hears as Cecil here is typing away on the, well, typewriter. Be very loud. I kind of hope it's a stranger than fiction thing because that's so absurd. I kind of want it.
My dear reader, this novel you hold in your hands is my yacht plan, and I hope you will make it yours. If we keep this transactional relationship going for long enough, you and me are gonna be racing luxury boats off the coast of some undisclosed equatorial nation very.
I mean, I've actually just checked out the prices. It's $500 a month for rough. I think it's, was it Costa Rica? Yeah, $500+ a month is the average cost of living down there. So racing a yacht down there is less of a joke. Hell, if they don't actually get a house with a yacht down there, even if it's rented, I will be surprised off this. I mean, they won't get it selling a book. You don't make money selling books. You make money on bookstores making pre-orders of books so that you can say you're a bestseller because they pre-bought 1 million copies. That's how you do that. It's not actually about people buying it. That is completely unrelated. It has no impact on pre-order sales. What you do is you get a bookstore to buy it in advance because your publisher has an in with them. And then they can go to their contacts at the book publisher and say, hey, we think we're going to make money on this, so we think you'll make money on this, so why don't you make us money by paying us money for the book you'll make money on? Everybody makes money. And if that sounds like it's corruption, moving on.
Soon.
The other curious thing about Dr. Cecil is this is very clearly not a real person. It is Aaron Hansen in a wig and makeup. But
oh,
when
so it's
I
actually not
asked
just
about
someone they
this
brought in.
an email, he, that is to say the Game Grumps staff, denied it. Which I don't really understand.
He actually sent an
why
email?
he'd do that. But look, it's not important. It doesn't matter.
The best part is if he's still in a script right now, they actually scripted out to just talk about that the entire way. I get that it's a bit, but they're handling it in the weirdest way possible. Yeah, I'm back to hoping this is very much a real book. I kind of want this. Art as commodity. Again, Warhol.
What's so interesting about Dr. Cecil's dialogue with the reader is it's him confessing to you, the person reading the book, that this is art he does not want to make. That the whole reason an author of his skill and caliber is even writing a young adult mystery novel is because he needs money.
Okay, I know they're making this as a joke. It's like, part of the humor of this is that I am a great author, but also I need money because my great author lifestyle demands it. Also, the great author lifestyle is literally live somewhere cheap, do a ton of drugs, and die young because you fucked up and lived cheap and died young from, and this is going to be a shocker, all the drugs. There's a reason you don't live that lifestyle. You die it really fast. All joking aside, though, and random tangent aside, what he's describing, writing a book because you need money, is a historically documented reason for some really amazing books to come out there. And a movie trilogy that had 2 really amazing movies in it. The Godfather, for example, was written because Mario Puzo was indebted to the mafia. That is why he wrote the book. He owed someone money or they break his legs. All of that shit about honor and, being like, leave the gun, take the cannoli. All of the cultural aspects he talked about, bullshit. Made up from thin air to appease the people who were literally going to kill him if they didn't get paid back. So he wrote a flattering novel about the mafia style because he owed them money, and he decided the best way to get an advance on not having my legs broken is to write a flattering book of them so they don't break said legs. Which then led to the people in the mafia who read it liking it to the point where they started to take up traditions from the novel to reality. So anytime you see those traditions, it's because, and this is an actual fact you can look up and I find it hilarious, it's because people in the mafia fanboyed over a guy who owed them money and then paid it back because of the novel he wrote explicitly to pay them back. So, yeah, I know it's a joke, but there is historical precedent for it working, which is kind of hilarious to me.
He does not care about these characters. He doesn't even really care about the story. This is literally art that exists purely for monetary gain.
Again, Warhol. Not for the writing it because I need money, but because not really caring, but doing it because I want money. I can go into a lot more information on that. His style is very much that, though.
YouTuber reading out a script he didn't even write. This means you.
Wait, what'd he say?
YouTuber. This is literally art that exists purely for monetary gain. Like a YouTuber reading out a script he didn't even write. This means
he got caught out on himself.
The reader are not just a reader. You're a business partner who can get in on the ground floor of an exciting new opportunity in the mass media production space that you and Dr. Cecil can work together for mutual profit.
The worst part is that's actually something that's been floated in some really dumb ways, like including codes to NFTs. And frankly, if anyone actually does that, 1, it has been done. 2, I'm going to pretend it hasn't because it's less disturbing. And 3, unrelated to both of that, there is a way to make buying books a profitable experience. You serialize them. You have individual numbers on them, and the first 100 have a little bit extra, such as maybe an extra afterword, or more likely a slightly more embossed cover, or special pages, like actual better material. And then everything after that is just a regular one. But you put them out at random, so if someone happens to get it, or you put a few of those that are signed and a few without the numbers are signed, and then it adds a sense of rarity, which is really not that important because it's all the same book regardless. But that artificial scarcity of some of them having specific numbers on them, it's like the first 100 printed, or the first ones that were signed and also had the numbers printed, that gives it a special rarity that will drive up prices as long as the person who's writing it is either famous there or the book does well. So it is a profitable experience at that point if you're one of the people to get it on the ground floor, get a signed copy, get one of the serialized copy, and hold on to it while it accrues value. That does work if you promote the shit out of it and the book is done well to the point where people actively go out to buy it and then would want a special signed copy or an individualized copy on top of that. It does happen. Usually you have to be famous or like a YouTuber who's throwing their name on a product and just want to throw it out there and people will buy it because your name recognition. But I mean, you need to be the Game Grumps sign for that to happen.
Look at it this way. There exists a market yearning to drop coin on the things we create, heretofore known as content, and we both have the ability to feed into the same burgeoning market.
Yep.
And if you would like to form your own parasocial business arrangement with Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, I implore you, according to this script, to buy your own copy of Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club and the Express Train to Nowhere. Available now at GameGrumps.com or wherever books are sold.
Unironically, if it's not there, I'm going to be disappointed because I know my wife would like this. Because it's Game Grumps stuff. That is literally the only thing she needs to be happy. It is the greatest way to bribe her so I can get away with some stupid shit like, oh, I forgot to do insert any random thing here. Like, left the seat up, forgot to get food for the week, farted so loud that it scared the cats, they jumped on our faces, and then we had to go to the hospital for stitches. It only happened twice. Little things like that. Seriously, it's either that or a cheese. Cheese works too, but this book will definitely go a lot further and probably is cheaper. Dear God, have you seen the price of cheese? Oh my, wheels are absurd.
See, whether you're creating a first-person shooter or writing a book, creators need to provide ample lore to encourage fan speculation and in-universe items that could be sold on Etsy or at Comic-Con. And Dr. Cecil is very clearly hoping
why is it
this
number
happens
2?
with Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club.
He then reached into his satchel and pulled out a moist towelette from its Ghost Hunters Adventure Club branded packaging. And you guys said this would be a useless mechanism for advertising, he said, wiping ice cream from his hands.
Dr. Mills is so obsessed with ancillary revenue streams that he pulls the reader aside to offer more grifting ideas, screen printing t-shirts or running a fiddle scam.
Just Google fiddle scam. You should be aware of this. I will be honest, I don't know what a fiddle scam is. I do know about the screen printing stuff because, again, Warhol did a lot of work with screen printing because he could mass produce art that sells really well. Because at that point, name recognition meant people would buy his shit, even if it was literal shit. And as far as I know, he never sold actual shit. He did have a painting that was literally just him urinating on iron. I've seen it. I worked in the Warhol Museum as a guard. I have legitimately had to stand there and tell people, do not lick the piss on iron that has rusted. Do not lick the, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I have had to say it in person, do not lick the rusting piss. Things that I have wished were only a joke, but were legitimate statements of fact that you had to remind people of because they would, and because people have licked his paintings because they thought it was funny. Specifically, it was actually a hand-drawn painting of a toilet on the top of the building in the collection that actually looked really nice. And people decide, hey, what's funny? I should ask my daughter to lick this because it's funny. And then they licked it because it's funny. And they're licking a painting of a toilet. I'm just going to go and repress that memory because why the fuck? I just...
No artistic choice is sacred, no line too far, as long as it boosts sales. Eventually, he offers his best
NFTs?
idea yet. When early in the story, Dr. Cecil reveals to the reader his big plan, his guaranteed way of stirring up controversy, discourse, and reader engagement.
Is he going to say Taylor Swift is overrated? Because I'll be honest, there is a section of the internet who would absolutely go crazy and buy his novel en masse to burn it. Realize they burnt it and they don't know what part specifically had the insult to Taylor Swift because they just read about it. Buy another copy to find the insult, talk about it, take pictures of that horrible section, and themselves burning it. And then they would do it again because, well, I need to get more evidence to show that I actually read the entire thing, to show that I know exactly why. And while that last part is rare enough, it would happen. We've seen that happen. It does work. It shouldn't work. But dear God, it does. If I started this video with, this video is proof that Taylor Swift is overrated, people would come to this as rage clicks. And frankly, if I'm completely honest, I will probably start this video with that. And if it doesn't become somewhere in the beginning, I will be very disappointed in myself for not thinking of that great way to do it. But I'm going to do it in the spirit of this video.
His plan is by book end to murder one of the three protagonists.
Also known as what J.K. Rowling should have done in Harry Potter. And apparently she was talked out about because it was going to be Ron. And her publicist and other people who read the series talked her out of it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it should have been Harry and they should have talked her into that. But that's beside the point.
My dear reader, if this grift is going to work, then one of our main characters has to die.
Oddly enough here, this part, this is a reverse murder mystery. the murder hasn't happened yet that we care about. So what you're getting is not actually a discourse with the characters you're observing. You're getting a narrative with the author, who is a character as well, deciding which one of them will die in the story he's writing. So you're watching a murder to come as opposed to a murder that you have to solve. It's actually that suspension of disbelief that functions well here, because you have none. In fact, the suspension of disbelief is so absolutely shot that you know it's tongue-in-cheek the entire way, but if you actually come to like the characters, despite that, you're definitely hooked. Admittedly, it's also pulling the Romeo and Juliet thing. What is it called? Dramatic irony, where you know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know it will happen. Such as, then you know in Romeo and Juliet, the lovers will die. It's horrible. Admittedly, it's also a shit story, but it's also meant to show that this immediate, overwhelming love is stupid and went badly because of it. Also, literally check for a pulse if someone's dead or not, but details. So we have something that actually would make a fascinating story for a character who is not going to care about his characters. That's not even me misspeaking. It's the character in the story who is a character in the overarching meta universe of the game Grumps, talking about how he is writing a story and he's going to kill a character and you don't know which one, but it's not going to be him physically killing it. It's deciding which one will die in a narrative he's writing that he's also taking part in. This is a very meta narrative book. And there is another novel that does this, that has these kind of little hang-ups that were put in there specifically for fans to geek out over. And I'm going to apologize in advance for this reference, because the other novel that's done this, that specifically put things in the novel that doesn't really make sense as a story itself, but do in a meta-narrative because it would engage people outside of it examining the novel, is Ulysses by James Joyce. If you've read Ulysses, 1, why? 2, it is literally a novel that when he finished, he is quoted heavily in Ireland, obsessively, specifically about the part where he's like, and that'll keep the English majors or the people in universities studying novels busy. I forget the exact wording, but basically he wrote it so nerdy book types would geek out over all the references he did for years. And that was intentional. It's an entirely complex experimental work meant for writing nerds. But it also has a bunch of that, we don't know what we're doing here, so let's play around with meta options and narratives and overarching themes that are complex. While this isn't nearly to that level, it is similar to what that book did, but I don't want to believe that it could possibly get nearly as obsessive. But it's something that was established in that novel as well. Also, if it sounds like I'm being pessimistic about Joyce's work, it's because I've tried to read it. Oh, dear God, his stuff is so dense with bullshit that does not matter because he was just writing a scavenger hunt for nerds.
Reader, this midpoint realization is they're not just having a fun time
Midpoint.
or building a fictitious relationship with plucky and lovable characters.
You're planning a
they're
murder.
Following commodities on a page, a resource that Dr. Cecil is willing to burn in order to create controversy and sales, which will create a secondary market for fan-made merch. That is the single
can't believe
cold
Trudy
reason why
died.
Dr. Cecil is writing this book at all.
We won't
Please tell me he went the Clue option, specifically the movie, where there's multiple endings and you have to buy each ending separately, and the real one is the one that sells the best. Admittedly, that's not even a bad way to look at it.
people to have to shout indignantly over one another to be heard. For journalists to slap together poorly researched articles about fan outrage.
Oh, come on. They would never do that. They're all AIs at this point. Like Sports Illustrated, who just hired an AI, got caught using an AI. I'm not sure if you hire AI or buy them. And then fired all the union writers at Sports Illustrated. This has all just happened within the month. I'm not sure about being found out about the AI thing, but firing all the union writers because they got caught using AI, that did just happen within the month at the time I'm making this. So yeah, talking that they're poorly researched is completely outrageous. There's no research. There's no journalist doing it. It's just a machine spitting out random words. So probably works out better for him this way.
Because that's what keeps their attention. That's what sells content. And that's what puts us on yachts.
A TV
I mean, as cynical as it is, he's not wrong. And by that, I mean the people at Game Grumps writing something that's supposed to be over-the-top cynicism and just, I want my money. It's a joke, but also it's actually working. It does work. And a good way to write that is look at Jake Paul. Controversy sells because when you talk about people on the internet, a lot of algorithms are based on engagement. Engagement by bringing people in to see what the fuck just happened is a good way to do it. It's why not just YouTube, but most media have breaking news. You need to see what happened. Check it out. Look here, or else you'll miss it. It's not wrong. I hate everything about this, but it's not wrong.
A show with enough intrigue will spawn countless video essays, which draw the audience into a consumptive fandom ravenous for analysis, theories, and fan art. Of course, this hunger never ends, spawning the need for more base materials from which we can produce more content.
Admittedly, the easiest way to create a fan community around things would be to go the Underverse route and just say, well, Underverse or Undertale route, and just let everyone go crazy on a thing that they want to write their own take on because they have such a great love that they want to do anything to experience more of that initial engagement with the source. And then the source builds upon itself to the point where people have no idea what the hell the game is, but they know all the fan work around it. Yeah. And if you want to monetize that, well, that's actually very hard, but you can pick and choose a few you like and say you'll publish them officially if you share revenue. Admittedly, if you only pick and choose a few to become canonized and they're good enough, that works out well. Or you can go the Cthulhu option and give up all money and it makes it you massively famous, but you also don't get anything out of it. That also makes you very famous because Cthulhu did not do any copyrighted content. You can use that however you want. You can have done that for decades. You could have done it when he was still alive. That's why the Cthulhu mythos is so grown and so used everywhere, because if I started using a character that was just Cthulhu in the background of my stuff right now, as long as it was original art, perfectly fine. There is no copyright on that, but also it won't make money for you.
A commodity gets purchased, content gets engagement, or in Dr. Mill's words,
The more people who know about Ghost Hunters Adventure Club, the more people buy the book. The more people buy the book, the more they become fans. The more they become fans, the more they flood secondary markets looking for content to the degree of fan art, trinkets, posters, and t-shirts. All things that you, yourself, can produce and sell at a profitable markup.
And as a YouTuber being paid to narrate a video which I must legally remind you may not represent my actual views or points of interest, this really interested me.
Making art in the age of
Where things
content.
start to get really wild is that Dr. Cecil doesn't just develop a relationship with the reader, but with his own fictional characters that he's planning on killing. When Trudy wanders further into the train than Dr. Mills thought necessary for the plot, he realizes he hasn't even done the research on what an engine room looks like, or who works in one. In his panic, he writes a character called the Engineer to inhabit it. The Engineer is aware that she is a character in a novel, and
Seriously?
also bitter that the author wasn't even bothered to give them a proper name. It's
Okay, we have reached SCP levels of just meta bitterness, and I might need to buy a copy for myself on top of my wife now. Oh shit.
funny and existential, but it also leads to a really interesting scene about the very nature of fictional characters. Trudy, JJ, and Valentine arrive at a train-themed bar in search of the Engineer. They need her help tracking down a missing train, and the plot can't advance without the Engineer's help.
Wait, they got off the train to go to a train-themed bar to find a missing train, because I'm assuming theirs is missing? This is stupid and I love it.
But she, resigned to her meaningless reality, refuses.
The Engineer chortled.
Buddy, wake up and smell the marketable content machine. We're all just imaginary objects floating through the mind of a sad, angry man. This world solely exists so that we can be run through a ringer of misery over and over again for...
Yeah, basically. Oh, the red ones are assuming that he's typing it, so the red is a mark to show that it was later corrected, because you can't correct typing easily. You can just later edit it. Okay, that makes more sense.
As long as we can be profited off of.
So Trudy does the only logical
Garfield
thing she can do. She threatens to beat the shit out of the Engineer, a threat of violence that compels the Engineer to defend herself, leading to Trudy asking if the Engineer's life is truly meaningless, then why defend it? And that simple little contradiction embodies beautifully a subtle theme creeping all the way through Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club. Did
the face just get warped? Oh yeah, it did. definitely has an AI effect or some kind of Photoshop on it, where you can see the smile still there, but they changed the mouth.
Is beautifully a subtle theme creeping all the way through Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club. The gift of life isn't just for the living. That these fictional characters can fictionally believe that their lives have innate value. And we soon learn that this is not Trudy convincing the engineer, this is Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills convincing himself. Which means that in reality, this is the fictional Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills having a real, genuine dialogue with the real-life Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, who is actually Aaron Hansen, of course. I mean, this is Aaron, right? This isn't a secret. Like, everyone knows this, but I just wanted to...
Hey, Eyepatch, well...
Oh my god, I love this. I'm sorry. This is so meta and so absurd. If this isn't an actual book you can buy, I'm going to be very disappointed now. Oh, wow. I thought the joke was that they just always talk about this guy who's never actually going to make the book. But if they actually did, and this is the way they're selling it, oh, god damn it. I'm falling for the marketing, but it's working.
Just kind of say that we really loved that read you sent us, but could we please ask you not to mention anything about the identity of Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills? Hope your day is going well. Talk soon.
What, no threats of violence?
What's interesting about Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills' relationship with his characters is that he's essentially having this dialogue with himself as he slowly comes to terms with the idea that his own characters have value in and of themselves. They have thoughts and feelings beyond just what he wants. And that might sound overly meta and convoluted, but it...
Yes, it is. But also for someone who's a writing geek, that is kind of catnip. And by kind of catnip, I mean, oh dear God, it's actually convincing me to buy this. I'm going to give them money for this, aren't I? Yeah, I'm aware of it.
It's actually an oddly common phenomenon multiple writers have talked about.
Yeah.
Take classic American authors Kurt Vonnegut's writing in Breakfast of Champions.
Oh, I haven't read that
Vonnegut,
one.
despite creating his characters and universe out of nothing, describes his relationship to them as if he controls them with stale rubber bands.
This is actually something that I don't know much about Vonnegut's writing. I've always meant to read it, and then I've always got distracted by shiny new things that have much more fantasy aspects. I read a lot of trash fantasy because I love trash fantasy. It's some of my favorite writing because it's stupid and it's absurd, and I love every second of it. But I've always meant to get into Vonnegut, my own stupidity aside. And the way he's described writing right now about stale rubber bands, it's two ways you can look at writing. You either have characters who move to what you say because it's just moving puppets on the screen. It's a puppet show. Or you get into their heads and method act writing, which is the best way to describe it. You're in the head of the character. You're living out their thoughts, and they can grow beyond you and turn your story into an absolute nightmare, and it goes well beyond your ability to write, and you're just bashing your head against the wall going, why is it doing this? I wanted to write a happy scene. Why is there a murder? If you want someone who actually wrote an entire novel about that, Brandon Sanderson did that about having a character who had multiple personalities. And he said this was basically a love letter to his own writing style about how it felt to have all his characters living in his head as their own complete beings. So giving yourself schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder as a way to make a living. There's an entire novel about that called Legion, or novelette. I mean, for anyone else, it would be a novel. For him, it's a short story. When you have a writer that can do a couple thousand pages for a regular novel, and he writes something under 100, not under 100, it's probably like 50,000 words. Yeah, that technically counts as a short story for him.
Sure, he could invent their desires and innate characteristics, but at a certain point, a character's inertia pulls against the limitless possibilities of the writer's imagination, and so,
they snap.
As he writes it, Dr. Cecil begins to realize that the lives of his characters, they have real value beyond him. And this creates a problem. As mentioned, the entire
He's got to
reason
kill
for this
someone.
book's existence is so Dr. Cecil can generate controversy by killing one of these three beloved characters, and then reap the monetary gain of said controversy. But now, he begins to understand that these fictional creations of his, they have value. They are worthwhile, and yet
all wear conductor
he
hats?
still must figure out which one to kill if he wants his yacht plan to succeed. The characters themselves even begin to understand that their own death is now inevitable, and as the story barrels towards a conclusion, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills must choose. Does he
choose to kill his own character because it doesn't kill him in real life? That would be funny.
let one of these characters, one of these little pieces of himself he has fashioned out of his own soul, die for monetary gain, or do the right thing?
Yeah, but also, killing a piece of yourself to make money is literally a way to describe working in general, so I think we know the correct answer here.
Okay, look, I'm sorry. Okay, this is actually Eyepatch Wolf. This is John. I'm off script because I don't understand why I'm being asked to do this. I don't understand why I have to pretend that this man who is very clearly Aaron Hansen
Honestly, I don't see the resemblance here. They look completely different.
in a wig and makeup. Why must I pretend this is a real person?
I mean, look at them. They don't look anything alike. He has brown eyes that are dark. He has brown eyes that are light. He has dark brown skin that's also somewhat pink. He has dark pink skin that's somewhat brown. He has a mustache and a scraggly beard. He has a mustache and a well-trimmed beard. It's completely different. I mean, look at this. His hair is a little longer. His hair is a little longer. They don't look anything alike. They both have the dimple in their nose. They see it. They don't look anything alike. It's completely ridiculous to say they're the same person.
I tried to finish recording the script I had been sent. I could not. Against my better judgment, I requested to know the true identity of Dr. Cecil. My request was met with befuddlement.
This is getting really weird, dude. Can we please
That's
just
Susie,
finish
Aaron's wife,
recording
right?
and we can all move on from whatever is happening here?
She was lying. I could tell. There's something.
Why does he have a
afoot here.
knife?
Some game was being played, and I, treated like a meager pawn.
What?
I would not stand for this, because what the Game Grumps production team were not aware of is that myself and Aaron were mutuals on
I demand that we meet to discuss the Dr. Cecil issue. What?
Twitter, and so I contacted him, asking for a sit-down. I had followed Aaron since his days on Newgrounds. Sequelitis had been
Wait, he was on Newgrounds? Honestly, I barely remember Newgrounds at all. I might have just missed that or realized it was him and then forgot completely.
a tremendous influence on my own work, and I respected him greatly. I scolded myself. John, do not fuck this up.
With Girl Chan 4 is, I got, you know, I had a lot of stuff going on with
What?
Starbomb.
I think you're pretending to be your own fake uncle who doesn't exist and writing teenage adventure novels through him. You're a liar! You're a goddamn liar, Aaron Hansen!
Just turn off the screen.
Aaron's silence signaled to me that I had absolutely fucked this up.
I appreciate that you're excited about this, but it's
Also, I think I recognize the set he's using right here from Shuffle Master. I'm pretty sure I've seen it a few times. I've watched his videos opening cards. It's kind of addictive. It's a problem. It just makes me want to buy more Magic cards. I should not do that. Oh, dear God, no. But I think I've seen that set.
not. That's not what's. He's real. He's my real uncle. Okay.
This is a man that biologically exists.
Yes.
I mean, theoretically, if they're maybe from Alabama, saying you are your own uncle is technically viable. Don't think about it too hard. You really don't want to, but technically it has happened. There's documentation of it. Just don't look it up. It's really fucked up.
Yes, he's a real man. He's my mom's brother, and he's a real person.
He has organs and bones.
Oh my God, dude!
22 days
I woke
later.
up early one morning, the shame of my encounter with Aaron just beginning to fade away. I went to my front door where awaited for me a letter from Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills.
Mr. Eyepatch Wolf, words cannot
I'm sorry. I love the voice so much.
describe my distaste of media criticism, and by that factor my distaste of you, the media critic. I believe that our society has devolved into a recursive state where cottage industries have formed around the consumption of consumption.
Yeah.
It is not enough to enjoy something. No, the thing must be deconstructed. We must find the root understanding of it so as to squeeze the maximum enjoyment out of it.
Or in the case of Undertale, create your own understandings of it that grow beyond the original and somehow drive the man who made it off the internet because what the fuck is going on? Or you get hyper-fixated like that guy who tried to kill the MiHoYo CEO because bunny girl costumes were used. Yeah, that actually happened. That's bullshit. Fandoms are creepy, man.
We must hammer its themes to pieces under the microscope lens of algorithmically profitable videos of at least 10-minute length so that the ads may be served against it. In this,
Isn't that old, Dave?
I believe we are in danger of losing the soul of art, recognizing not what it means to us, but what it means to other people. Maybe sometimes Jurassic Park isn't a story about man's lust for scientific conquest, but instead a reminder of how cool dinosaurs are.
I mean, let's be completely fair. If somewhere along the way, Michael Crichton didn't think, God, dinosaurs are so freaking cool, man, I will be very disappointed in reality. Because, yeah, there's a story, there's an overarching narrative, but also freaking dinosaurs, man. Had to be said in that exact tone of voice as well. I'm very specific about this. It needs to happen.
And I think we should be content with that. On to you. I found your dissertation on Akira to be reductive. Your take on Hajime no Ippo to be pedantic at best, and your thoughts on Silent Hill 3 wholly distasteful. And yet, you were pretty spot on about Shenmue 3.
I haven't seen any of these.
Intellectual property. John, I have said all of that so that I may say this. You ask questions. You search for quality, and you work to understand deeply that which you enjoy. And while I am always loath to pay anyone, let alone a critic, a compliment, I believe that your love of art shines through within the content you create, which I suppose is admirable. Regarding your repeated inquiries in regard to my existence, it was my hope that this letter would be proof positive as to my personhood. And yet, while I fully understand that this will not sate your appetite for understanding, something which I personally take joy in, I will tell you this. Maybe, to your point, the gift of life isn't just for the living.
I love everything about this. They're committing to the sketch. They're sticking to it. They're pulling Eyepatch Wolf into it in his own script to break him from the script that they're paying him for. If this isn't something they actually paid him to do, then this is the greatest ad read I've ever heard for a non-existent product. And I really want this to be real now. God damn it. I need to double check to see if it is at the end of this.
I wish you the best, Mr. Eyepatch Wolf. May our paths cross soon so that we may settle this with a fist fight.
I knew this was likely a ploy. There was no way Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills wasn't fictional, but why did it feel like he was here, addressing me, responding to my questions, and engaging with them on a human level? I read his letter over and over, and with each reading,
I believe in Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. Please tell me these signs were actually put up somewhere. I want that to be real.
Borders of this concept, this thing, this person began to soften. Was Dr. Cecil a real person, or was he a fictional character?
I said it was getting SCP territory earlier, but now this is legitimately an SCP in its own right. This is very much a mimetic intrusion by a character who doesn't exist, but exists within your mind, becoming real and infecting other people with their existence. And if someone hasn't seen this video and written up an SCP file about this video as the source, I might need to go do that because, one, I have no idea how to do that, but two, I would think this is a very valid usage of that. I'm a coward. I have no idea why I like the SCP files. That's just weird. Are they called files or entries? I don't know.
I genuinely didn't know anymore, but maybe it didn't matter. He's real to me, damn it.
Thanks.
A major theme of Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club is that life is deserved by more than just the living, that our creations, that our art, it has life and value onto itself, and sometimes that's uncomfortable. Sometimes it is that art that makes us confront parts of ourselves we may not want to, and it's easy to turn it into something else. It's easy to turn it into content designed solely for monetary gain, but ultimately, we should never let the parts of ourselves that exist in what we make die, because they are us.
Who did he end up killing?
Script says.
Wait, what'd that say?
Us. At least that's what this script says.
Still reading the
Friends,
script.
thank you for watching this video. If you would like to purchase your own copy of Ghost Hunters Adventurers Club, a gentle but firm reminder that it's available now at GameGrumps.com or wherever books are sold.
Audiobook too. So apparently it's real. And reasonably priced. I might have to actually go do that. So that was actually really damn cool. I liked the meta narrative. I liked how it was warping reality by the end of it and how they wrote up a script that isn't just the dumb humor I expect from the Game Grumps, which admittedly is still funny and makes my wife really happy, but into something that was overarching and meta and had unique takes on what the fuck is going on. In the sense that you know it's real, but then you kind of blur that at every step of the way on multiple layers of the characters, the character writing the characters, the character writing the characters who is a character themselves, and then playing that there is no further character. It's all real, but it's not. And you know at the same time, but it isn't, but it is. I love this. I'm sorry. I love anything that dips into what is real meta narrations. And this is so much a geek out book for me. So I'm going to need to get 2 copies of this. Also, if my wife is watching this and you see a package that happened to arrive from the Game Grumps store, please don't pay attention to that. And also skip over everything prior to this. I don't know why you'd watch the ending first, but I think in this option, you definitely skip to the end to see what I said. So, 1, why? 2, yeah, pretend you didn't see any of this video. Thanks. I'll distract you with cheese. Good cheese. Swiss cheese. Or, well, no. More like really fresh mozzarella. Need to find one that's good, though. There's a lot of shit ones around. More importantly, you guys know the deal. I'm going to go buy that book because goddamn, it actually looks good. And yeah, other than my wallet dying, you know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. The Game Grumps did a really great job at getting Super Eyepatch Wolf to do an ad read for something that is freaking hilarious. And I kind of wish this was on his own channel because it would be completely worth it to have him take an unscripted look at it. Unless this was his own scripted or unscripted look. And I don't know what parts he was playing off of. And I kind of wish there was a little adaptation down below saying, here's the parts I ad-libbed, here's the parts I added in, and here's the parts where I have no idea what they said and they just used an AI to clone my voice to say the parts that I don't understand why they had me say that. Why? I don't know either. But it'd be funny. Sorry, this is just a giant pile of sugar for me, and I'm having fun with it. Again, link below, original video, hit it up. If you haven't subscribed to the Game Grumps channel, it's very different than what I usually look at, but also my wife legitimately wants me to watch them all the time, constantly. It's why I don't react to them, because I have seen almost everything they've done all the time, playing constantly. She is an addict. It is a problem. There is no help. I am also going to get divorced if she saw that clip. All the same. See you guys in the next one. Adios.